Good morning, or good afternoon now. It is nice to see everybody here. I have the honor of acknowledging some of the special guests that we have with us in the room today. Senator Patty Ritchie is here, Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli. Thank you, Governor, for leading us in applause. Assemblyman Bill McGee is here. Welcome, Bill. Our Common Council President, Van Robinson. Our Onondaga County Legislature Minority Leader, Linda Irvin. We have our local officials, the Geddes Town Supervisor, Manny Falcone, and the Village of Salve Mayor, Ron Benedetti. Thank you. And we have Commissioner Sam Roberts from the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. And Troy Waffner, the Acting State Fair Director, who has done a great job for us this year. Troy, welcome. And I want to give a special acknowledgement and welcome to Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is back with us at the Great New York State Fair, or the new New York State Fair. I had the honor and privilege of working with the team from the state as the planning went on for the first phase, and we saw the results of that in what was a record-setting year for the State Fair, and that means great things for us here in Onondaga County, locally. Governor Cuomo has come here time and time again. He told us when he first started that he wanted things to come from the ground up. He wanted to know what our ideas were and how we were going to make things better, and he has supported us every step of the way. And we've seen the benefit of that here more than anywhere else. With the amphitheater that we have across the street that brought 200,000 people to concerts on the shore of Onondaga Lake, connected here now as the grandstand for the State Fair, the expanded midway, and all of the improvements that were done to the fair. And I am grateful. I say it when he comes here, and I know I say it on behalf of all of you that call Central New York home. We've never had a governor that's paid more attention and helped us get on our feet more than Governor Cuomo, and I want to thank you very much. And now it is my honor to introduce our Commissioner, Richard Ball, who's going to walk us through today's announcement. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Wow, what a good-looking crowd. It's good to see you all. It's good to be with you all here today. We've got a little bit of a slide deck here to run through, if you'll bear with me. The Great New York State Fair, Onondaga. You know, a lot of states like to claim they have the oldest fair. A lot of fairs like to claim that they're the oldest, but we actually are the oldest. We have 175 years of history here of the State Fair, which is really awesome. And after it started, it really put New Yorkers on a world stage, which we're used to. And it really put New York front and center, displaying our progress in agriculture over the years. But as you know, fairs are seasonal, agriculture is seasonal, and things suffered a little bit over the years. Investment in the state fairgrounds stalled, and it was only something we thought about during fair time. Since 2011, the governor has made upstate New York a priority. As a matter of fact, I think back to, Governor, our first conversation. It was about the upstate economy, and it was about the need for the upstate economy to grow and prosper and catch up with the downstate economy. And to the governor's credit, he recognized that agriculture would have to do well for that to happen. And so the fair becomes a bit of a metaphor for the goal of improving the economy upstate. When I got the call from the governor about taking on this job, actually the word team was used. Jonah, you used that word team, and I think you're going to hear that word a lot. And then last year, when the governor announced $50 million to reimagine the state fairgrounds, I remember the State of the State address, and I remember getting an awful lot of pats on the back from cabinet members about the exciting opportunity that afforded us, and it has been pretty exciting. You were here this summer. You got to see it. You got to see what happened, and I think you could really sense the difference that happened. You can see the difference. You can sense the difference. And again, cutting that ribbon on that day was such an exciting moment, and you can see that's quite a crowd of people, quite a lot of enthusiasm. It was very tangible. Right from the front gate to more space at the Chevy Court, more seating, larger crowds, and some of the biggest audiences we've ever had here. And a bigger, better midway, increasing the capacity there, easier to get around, actually quite beautiful. And moving people around the fair continues to be something that is so important. We actually sold out of spaces at the RV park before it was open, before it was finished, and particularly at the Syracuse Nationals, which happened in June last year. We were full before we even finished the construction on it. So under the governor's leadership, we're working to include everybody. This is New York's state fair, and it's for all New Yorkers. Again, we got to smash some ice right here, right in front of this podium. I was a little bit wondering how that was going to go. 3 ice picks with 3 rookies up there, but it went quite well. We shattered attendance records. That's the most people have ever been to the New York State Fairgrounds in our history. That's worth some applause. They came from all over New York, and they came from all over the country, and they came from foreign countries as well. Of course, we do require passports there. So we're pretty proud. We're pretty excited, and I think we have done a survey every year since 2008, and we've learned some things. And what we see and what we feel here in this room today is confirmed by the people who came here and were surveyed. Really great news. We're going the right direction, folks. Positive experience for 97% of everyone who filled out the survey, which is the highest survey record we've ever had. One of my favorite events here, the Syracuse Nationals. It's not just a lot of cars. It's certainly that, but it's a trip down memory lane for so many of us. They set a record this year with their attendance here at the fair. And a rising tide lifts a lot of boats. The return of the Bassmasters, and of course the amphitheater, which is very something special there, so special, right across the street. Really, rising tides lift a lot of boats. So today in New York State, you can really feel that something is happening here, and it's a good thing. And I have to say, we have a good story to tell here in New York, and for me to be a part of a team that's part of something that's growing is very exciting. So let me just say that it's an honor to work for you. It's an honor to be a part of this team. We have a great story to tell again in New York State. And please, at this point, help me welcome the man who has a heart and a vision the size of New York State to the podium, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be back, and it's all good news. Commissioner Richard Ball is doing a fantastic job. He's doing a fantastic job all across the state, not just here at the State Fair. So let's give him a big round of applause. All my colleagues from Albany were introduced, and I want to thank them very much for being here, and I want to thank them very much for agreeing to serve on this committee that is going to come up with a new plan for the State Fair that I'll talk about in one moment. And to your county executive, who's doing a great job, Joni Mahoney. Let's give her a round of applause. I want to thank all the members of the advisory board who are here today, also Eric Maurer and Rick Lee, who are here. Thank you very much for agreeing to join and serve. Let's give them a round of applause. The charge is fairly simple. As the commissioner said and the county executive said, we had a great year at the State Fair. It was a blockbuster year. It was a record-setting year. We took an asset that was underused and underdeveloped for many, many years, which you could just get a sense walking through the fair, right? And we said there's more potential here than we're using. There's more potential than we're playing. And we invested in it, and it worked. And it worked amazingly well. That story of increased tourism, by the way, is working amazingly well all across upstate New York, right? We said our number one goal, our number one priority is the creation of jobs upstate. We put our money where our mouth is, old expression, $27 billion, big mouth, big amount of money. $27 billion invested in upstate New York to bring back the economy. And it's coming back. It's coming back all across upstate New York. You see it in central New York. You feel it if you walk down the street. You look at the numbers. Unemployment when we started was 8%. It's now down to 4 and change, right? So the numbers don't lie. We're creating jobs. Unemployment is down. And one of the big drivers has been tourism. Tourism, for many years, you saw the whole Northeast was doing very well with tourism, but it was bypassing upstate New York. Why? Because we weren't telling the story of upstate New York. Once again, it was a symptom of the abandonment of upstate New York, in my opinion. State government was not attentive, it was not focused, it was not really working to develop upstate New York, and that was also true when it came to tourism. So we have invested in tourism, and it has done extraordinarily well. We set a record last year in tourism, $102 billion in economic activity in the state of New York from tourism. $102 billion. Just think about that. Tourism employs 895,000 people in the state now. Central New York, 15 million tourists last year, up 15%, okay? So, the tourism industry is one of the great economic generators. It's working. We know when we invest in it, by the way, we get a multiple on our return. Selfishly, from the state's point of view, the state spends, my legislative colleagues, invest about $130 million in tourism promotion. A lot of money, $130 million. I Love New York ads, I Love New York tourism information. We now have apps that you can download onto your phone that can show you all the historic places in the state, all the Taste of New York places in the state, all the I Love New York attractions in the state. When you're driving around, you'll notice there are more signs now saying, get off here if you want to go to this vineyard, get off here if you want to go to this historic site. $130 million invested. From how much tax revenue do we collect from the tourism activities? Just tax revenue. 130 million, we get $8 billion in taxes. $8 billion. That's just taxes. That's not the job. It's not the impact of the job. It's just taxes to state government. So it has been a great business venture for the state to invest in tourism. And the state fair was an undeveloped asset that we believed had more potential. And we said, let's invest in the state fair because it is a great magnet. $50 million is a lot of money. I'm a little cheap. But money, sometimes it takes money to make money. Sometimes you invest money and you make money. That has been the story in tourism, and I believe that was going to be the story on the state fair, and it was. We invested $50 million, and we set all sorts of records. There was an excitement about the fair that I've been coming all my life. I never felt it before. People saw the change. Their energy was up. They felt good about it, and you can see that that's an energy that we can actually build on. I believe the fair has more potential than we have developed. I believe we took great strides, and I know a lot of my people, when I started talking about this, said, can't we just say we broke all records, it was a phenomenal success, have a party and take a vacation? I said, no, no, no. We will say it was a great success, we broke all the records, now we have to do even better next year. That's what we're going to say, because that's the New York way. So they didn't like to hear it, but I'm used to that. So the question is, how do we do even better? How do we break the record we just set? How do you take the state fair and maximize the tourism economic potential of the state fair? No doubt the improvements we've made have done great things. The synergy now with the amphitheater, I think, is very powerful and very attractive, and that amphitheater is really spectacular. I'm waiting for an invitation, which I'm sure was lost in the mail, but the amphitheater is beautiful, and I think there's more potential going forward. How do you increase the positive synergy between the amphitheater and the state fair? How do you take this fair and make it more than a couple of weeks a year, a couple of months a year? A venue 365 days a year. How do you make it the premier convention, exhibition site where companies all across the country want to come here all year long? That is really the optimum, right? That it's a magnet not just during the fair, but it's a magnet all year long. And that is the goal, and that is the question. How do we expand the parking capacity so we can do even more, and it's convenient and it's easy? How do people get around the grounds faster and better? What kind of building do you need to bring in a lot of these big shows now? So you can say to a show that's looking for a site, I have the biggest, best, newest building in the country, period, and this is the place you should come. I think there's tremendous potential. And we're going to put together an advisory group. We're going to ask them to come up with a plan. This is November. We're going to ask them to talk to private operators and people in the private sector who work on placing these shows and booking these shows and finding out what does it take to build the premier facility in the country. And what are these show operators looking for? And how do we build that here at the fair? So the answer is yes, and the answer is Syracuse. We are appointing the panel today. I want to thank them for their service. It's going to be an intense sprint of service. We're just starting November. I need the plan by the end of December, because I want to put it in the State of the State address once again. That's 2 months. There's plenty of time. It is plenty of time. I could do it in 2 weeks if I really had to. You can do it, Bill Magnarelli, Patty Ritchie, Bill McGee, Commissioner Ball, County Executive, Eric Maurer. I believe in you. Give them a round of applause. They're a little nervous about the task. Give me the plan. If it works, I'll put it in the State of the State. If it works, I'm willing to advocate that the New York State Legislature invest up to an additional $50 million in the State Fair to increase the venue. And again, what I'm going to say to the legislature, and I'll say to my colleagues now, yes, it's a lot of money. Yes, it was a lot of money last year, but it's an investment. And it's an investment in upstate New York. It's an investment in a place that has been a desert of investment for too many years, that was overlooked by the state for too many years. And one of my top priorities is just to do the right thing, so to speak, by Central New York, because the state government hasn't been there for Central New York for too many years. $50 million, we'll make money on it, we'll get that $50 million back, plus dividends, and we'll have a facility that we can continue to grow with. So that's the mission. It's been great thus far. We know it's going to work because we've seen the success. So now it's our opportunity to take it to the next level. Thank you.
And thank you again, Governor Cuomo, and thank all of you for coming. We love working with the governor that is all about progress. And so we will have a report to the governor by the end of the year, and we'll have an even bigger and better state fair in 2017. Thank you all for coming.